say, can you? Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order! Order!
Thank you, Ms. Rose. The North Shore LIJ Center for EMS Honor Guard, Fire Department of New York's EMS Pipes and Drums, and our own Ross Zastro for being a part of this very important day. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Deacon Dennis Monty, the brother of Eric. Deacon Monty works St. Anne's and St. Joseph's Church in Moores Forks, New York. Deacon Monty will give today's invocation and lead us in the EMS prayer.
O good and loving God, you created us and gave us life in abundance. You make yourself known to us through each other. You care for us by providing gifts of healing in the hands and spirits of a chosen few. As we gather to extend our honor our fallen brothers, extend your grace on these assembly. Bless emergency medical personnel and family members gathered here, and in the clouds we honor today, through Christ our Lord. Amen. Let's recite together the EMS prayer. As I perform my duty, whatever be the call, help to guide and keep me safe from dangers big and small. I want to serve and do my best, no matter what the scene. I pledge to keep my skills refined, my judgment quick and keen. This calling to give of myself, most do not understand, but I stand ready all the time to help my fellow man. To have the chance to help a child restore their laugh with glee, a word of thanks I might not hear, but knowing is enough for me. The praise of is fine for some, but I feel truly blessed that you, O Lord, have chosen me to serve in EMS.
Thank you, Deacon Monty. Please be seated. Today we honor and place two EMS providers who died in the line of duty, caring for their patients and serving their communities on this beautiful Tree of Life memorial. Today we pay tribute to David Restuccio and Eric Monty. Those of you who know me know that standing before you today is the hardest thing I have to do. This year we place a star on the tree of life for a loved one I know, respect, and admire, and have grown up with in the EMS system in New York State. I feared that this day was coming. As a lifelong EMS provider, when someone, one of our own, dies in the line of duty, a little piece of my heart dies with them. I think about how this could have been one of my colleagues, my loved ones, or even myself, and I can only reflect on how dangerous the EMS profession really is, and how only you know that firsthand, and how the two people we are here to honor today probably never considered these things because they had passion and commitment for what they were doing. As with the 42 people we've already dedicated to this memorial thus far, the two individuals we honor today served their patients with care, respect, and distinction. They gave their lives with honor and selflessness. Your participation in today's service displays the importance of these people and their contributions to our society as healthcare providers and emergency medical responders. It displays to their family how each of these gentlemen were a part of all of our lives, and how they will always be remembered for their professionalism and dedication to their parents, their EMS agencies, and their communities. I'd like to take a minute to thank many of the organizations who are represented today who have been steadfast supporters of this memorial. The New York State EMS Council, the State Emergency Medical Advisory Committee, the United New York Ambulance Network, the New York State Volunteer Ambulance and Rescue Association, the Fire Department of the City of New York's EMS Command, the Firemen's Association of the State of New York, Uniformed EMTs and Paramedics Union of Fidney, and the Uniformed EMS Officers of Fidney. A special thanks goes to the Office of General Services, who oversees and maintains our memorial, and finally to the many EMS services who come here to pay honor to their fellow EMS providers. Today, I'd like to introduce Senator Cecilia Ketchik. She is here to say a few words on behalf of the New York State Senate.
I may be a freshman senator, but when I heard about this memorial service, I wanted to be here. I'm a member of my local EMS in Duanesburg as a support person. I know how important the work you do is to our communities. And it's always a sad day when a person who dedicates their life to public service dies in the commission of their duties. But that's why we're here today. David Restuccio and Eric Monty, both of whom were dedicated to their families, friends, and the communities they served, died under tragic circumstances while performing their duties. So we are here to remember David and Eric and the valuable service they performed, but also to recognize the work done by all emergency medical service workers across the state. In my local ambulance corps in Duanesburg, I've met truly amazing individuals, people who are committed to serving their communities, people who are willing to get behind the wheel of an ambulance any hour of the day or night to help people and to save a life. People just like Eric and David. To their children, their families, their friends, and loved ones, we can only hope that today's service helps in some small way to bring a degree of closure to fill the void brought on by their loss. But I hope they will also recognize the important role Eric and David played in their community and that they died as they lived their lives, serving those who truly needed their assistance. I can only say to them, thank you for what you've done.
Thank you, Senator Ketchik. Representing the New York State Assembly, please join me in welcoming Majority Leader Joseph Morelli.
Good morning. I want to, on behalf of Speaker Silver and all my colleagues, a number of whom are here, I'd like to acknowledge them, if I might. My good friend from Suffolk County in the back, a longtime supporter of EMS, Bob Sweeney, is here. Good morning, Bob. My friend Dan Steck is seated to my right, and to the left, Peter Lopez and Janet Dupre, and I know I speak on behalf of all the members who are very grateful for your service. Good morning and welcome to all the heroes who are with us in body and in spirit. I'm grateful you've allowed me to share this moment in which we remember those who have lost and honor those who honor us, selfless devotion to duty. Hero. It's a word used a bit too easily and quickly these days, and it may have lost some of its power to move us. And sometimes when we say hero, we think in terms of the ones we see on the big screen, seemingly indestructible and immune to fear or danger. But that's not the way it works in real life. In real life, heroes aren't immune to fear. That's what makes them brave. And they aren't immortal. That's what makes them human. And it's their humanity that makes them heroes. Heroes like David Restuccio, a veteran paramedic from Staten Island who lost his life last August when his ambulance was struck head-on by another vehicle. Heroes like Monty of Champlain, an ambulance driver who suffered a fatal heart attack in November while taking a patient to the hospital. Maybe the real definition of hero is this: someone who has to sit on the sidelines but decides to act anyway. Because David and Eric could have made other choices. They could have been in other places. They could have been doing other things. But instead they chose to devote themselves to the highest level of public service. They chose to bind wounds, to bring hope and comfort to people in crisis. When I think of how they lived and how they died, I think of a young man named Zach Zeng. He studied at the University of Rochester, a member of the Brighton Volunteer Ambulance Corps. He was in New York City on a certain terrible, horrifying Tuesday morning 12 years ago. He wasn't on duty. He had absolutely no obligation to rush to the World Trade Center and start treating the wounded. But that's the choice he made. And that's what he was doing when the South Tower fell. Like David and Eric now, Zach is part of the Tree of Life forever in our hearts and memories. That's how they lived. That's how they died. That's what they did, and that's what all EMTs do. In commemorating them, we cannot help but celebrate all of you here today. And that's as it should be. Those of us on stage can't really bestow honor upon you. You've done that yourselves. We're really here to remind others of your sacrifice and service, in the hope that the next time people see those flashing lights and hear those sirens, they'll understand just how much is at stake. Finally, we're here to simply say thank you, in the knowledge that it's the best we can do and that it's not nearly enough. To those who today we add to the Tree of Life, to their families and friends, to all of you who have made EMS your life and your calling, and on behalf of myself and the people of New York, we thank you and may God bless you all.
Thank you, Assemblyman Morelli. Also representing the New York State Assembly, Assemblyman Peter Lopez, and Assemblywoman Janet Dupre.
Thank you. On this gorgeous day in Albany, this is a bittersweet occasion. I have the honor of representing the 115th Assembly District, and Eric Monty was one of my constituents. To his family and friends who are here today, welcome. We lost Eric Monty on a day when he was doing what he wanted to do, and what has already been said, all of you do on any given day of every week, every day, 24/7, 360 of the year. When duty called, he didn't walk away. He ran to a neighbor in trouble, someone who needed his help. And in doing so, he gave his life. Earlier today, for those of you who were around, and the horn started to go off on the Champlain Moores EMS, one of the EMS people looked at me and said, "You know, that's Eric's sense of humor. He's letting us know that he's here with us today." And it is certainly my privilege and my honor to present to the family a New York State flag, which is flown over the Capitol in honor and memory of Eric, and may you know that he will never be forgotten for giving the ultimate sacrifice.
Just want to share a couple observations. And my name is Pete. I represent a 7-county region, Mid-Hudson, Northern Catskill, Southern Tier. And our EMS responders are the lifeblood. And they protect homes and families. And our faith teaches us that there can be no greater love than to lay down one's life. That's the ultimate sacrifice. I want to share a quick story. Even as we approach the Memorial Day and we recognize our veterans, I do a lot of work with the Wounded Warriors, and we have some of our folks from the mountaintop in Greene County with us today. And in Windham, they have an event where they bring these individuals who have also sacrificed, lost limbs, and suffered traumatic stress. And we had one gentleman with us from out of the region. And he was marveling at the attention and the focus. And he said, "Why is everyone being so nice to me? They don't know me. Why are they being so nice and respectful and treating me this way?" And I thought about it for a second, and my simple answer was, "I don't know you, but I respect what you've done, and we love you for what you've done." And so I would say to the Restuccio family, I don't know your family member. I don't know him. I don't know David. But I know what he's done. And for that we are proud. As a state, as a community, we are very proud of his service. And so with that said, I also have a citation from the Assembly on behalf of all of our members and a U.S. flag that we've flown over the state capitol on his behalf. So if you could please receive it.
Thank you, Assemblyman Lopez, Assemblywoman Dupree. Next, it's my honor to introduce the Commissioner of Health, Dr. Nirav Shah.
Good morning. On behalf of Governor Cuomo, Lieutenant Health, thank you for being here and joining us on this somber and important day. I'd also like to extend my thanks to the elected leaders who every day work on all of our behalf, including Assemblyman Morelli, Senator Kachik, Assemblywoman Janet Dupree, and Assemblyman Lopez. Every year, we gather here to honor the brave men and women of the emergency medical service, the modest heroes of the state of New York. Every person here today recognizes what they've given up and what they do. I'm thankful you made the trip to help honor 2 fallen heroes this year. As you look across the crowd, you'll see neighbors from all walks of life who share the common thread of serving their communities. Being a member of an EMS agency certainly isn't about the glamour or about the pay, about the service. It's about sacrifice. It's about the enduring spirit of serving your community. Each EMS provider has a unique combination of life-saving skills and deep compassion. How many people outside of this community do you know that put their own lives at risk every day, responding to emergencies 24/7 in the blistering heat of a day like today or in the cold of a New York winter? Fortunately, in New York, we have about 60,000 trained EMS members who endure these tough conditions because they know that their neighbors may need their help. What drives them is a sense of duty and the character that represents the very best of human nature. Today we honor all EMS professionals. We pay special tribute, however, to 2 heroes David Restuccio of Staten Island, and Eric Monty of Altona. Both of these brave men lost their lives while transporting patients. David was a 25-year veteran paramedic of the New York City Fire Department EMS, who after retiring in 2006 began serving as a paramedic for Staten Island University Hospital. In the aftermath of 9/11, he spent 2 months working in the morgue to identify victims in the debris of the fallen towers, as an assignment he chose, according to his best friend, because it was important that the remains be treated with dignity and respect. On the evening of August 27, 2012, during the transport of a patient to the hospital, the ambulance he was driving was involved in a horrific crash. Mr. Restuccio died soon after. Both of those injuries suffered in the crash. A former neighbor describes him as an original member of the neighborhood, noting that with his death, it's not going to be the same. David Restuccio was 58 years old. Eric Monty of Moores, Clinton County, was a member of the Champlain EMS when he responded to a mutual aid request from a neighboring community just after midnight on November 27, 2012. He was driving an ambulance that was transporting a patient suffering from chest pain to a local hospital, and during that transport, Mr. Monty himself suffered a heart attack and passed away. He was 45 years old. A diesel mechanic and member of the Moores Volunteer Fire Department, he served with the Champlain EMS for about 2 years. A local official characterized Eric Monty as hardworking, sincere, and a very dedicated. His brother noted that from a very young age, Eric showed a generous spirit that marked him throughout his life. As we pay our respects to Eric Monty and David Restuccio, we also offer our prayers for the safety of their EMS colleagues in counties across the Empire State. When we think about these two brave men, we also think about the role of EMS and the pivotal roles they play in keeping people healthy and safe. Each year, our state EMS system responds to nearly 3 million requests for emergency medical care or transportation. And at this very moment, somewhere in New York State, there are many of our hardworking EMS professionals responding to emergencies. These calls are being answered by well-trained volunteers and professionals who will provide much-needed services in moments of despair. These responders are friends, family, colleagues, neighbors, and because of their efforts, lives are being saved. As we remember Eric and David today, we also express our gratitude to all of those who serve in every way and every capacity. I know that all EMS personnel take much pride in what they do, and New York is clearly proud of you. Thank you for being a critical part and the first link of our healthcare network. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shaw. Representing the EMS community, please welcome the Chair of the New York State EMS Council, Mark Zeke.
Thank you, Lee. Good morning, everyone. Shaw, distinguished members of the Senate and the Assembly, our honored guests, and all of you in the EMS community. We are gathered here today to honor and remember two extraordinary human beings who dedicated a large part of their lives to taking care of the sick and injured members of their communities. David Restuccio, as you heard, a retired fire department paramedic who just could not stay away from the work he loved. And as the commissioner said, after 9/11, he dedicated himself to 2 months of removing human remains from the wreckage of the World Trade Center. And his close friend, retired Lieutenant Mark Cusick, said to him it was important that the remains be treated with the utmost dignity and respect. And he saw that as a really important job. But he was a loving father who loved to travel and be outdoors with those who were closest to him. Eric Monty, a generous and giving person, as you have heard, with a good sense of humor, and was a gifted and skilled diesel mechanic who worked all over the North Country, making friends as he went along and bringing joy wherever he went, I'm sure. His fiancée, Gladys Daniels, called him the best in the world that anybody could want as a husband. And the most amazing man I ever met. His sister, Mary Ellen, said he joined Champlain EMS to give back to his community that had given so much to his family during his wife's illness. The ironies and similarities of their deaths and loss are striking. They both died in the ambulances they loved to work in. They were both married later in life. And they were both overjoyed at the prospect of starting a new life with someone they loved. Eric had lost his first wife to cancer. And David was to marry our own dear Dr. Giordano, better known as Dr. G, a former state council chair and a longtime medical director and emergency physician for a fire department in New York. And I believe both their weddings were supposed to be held this year around about this time. We are here to recognize and honor these men for their commitment, their compassion, and their passion for their work, for the love that they freely gave to their patients, their family, and anyone else they met on the path of their lives. Which brings me to why we are really here today. I think we are really here for love. That wholehearted, selfless love we show to our fellow man by what we do as care providers in their time of need. It's the same love from friends and neighbors that surrounds and feeds a grieving family. And we are of our EMS community from all over the state. We remember and reflect on the love that these two men practiced for their patients in the back of an ambulance. For ultimately, that is what we do when we answer a call and take care of someone who really needs our special attention. We have many skills that we are trained to employ to care for people when they are sick or injured. But at bottom, we are really applying love when we use them. We are our brother's keeper. As my friend and predecessor, Rich Brandt, has said so well, ours is a noble calling. We do not pass by on the other side. We bind up the wounds and take our patients to the inn that is the hospital. And you know, not quite 2 years ago, we lost in our service to an off-duty death. And he was a funny, middle-aged guy with a treasure trove of very corny jokes that he told a lot. But he loved his job, and he was good at it. And sometimes in the morning, I'd open the garage door so he and his partner could roll out in their ambulance. And he put down his window as he went by, and he'd say to me in a lighthearted way, "See ya, boss. We're going out to hunt down sick people." And I kind of think of David and Eric, they might have said or thought something like that when they started their shifts. And it may help to be a professional to demonstrate this special love, but you really just have to be a human being. Recent events have proven that. Witness the outpouring of love at the bombings in Boston. Uninjured runners and bystanders, alongside EMS and police, stripping off belts and shirts to make tourniquets, pulling away barricades, tending to the injured despite the carnage and confusion. And those runners who crossed the finish line and kept on going to the nearest hospital to donate blood. That is love in action. This is what we do as professionals and as human beings. These events bring out the love and skill that's in the best of us. And I think right about now there's a lot of love going on, being acted out in Moore, Oklahoma. So we honor the love and commitment of David and Eric today and are thankful for all they did for us on and off the street. We add their names to our tree of life so that those who pass by this place might stop to read and ponder that all of those represented on that tree gave the last year of love. As for us, we can take home from their example today a little better sense of the love we practice every time we answer the call. So, go home and hunt down sick people and give them all the skillful love that you can. It is what we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zeke. Today we're here to honor two brave New Yorkers for their service to their communities. Eric Monty of Champlain EMS. David Restuccio from Staten Island University Hospital EMS, retired from Fidney EMS. Ladies and gentlemen, the following are the names of those heroic New Yorkers who selflessly gave their own lives while helping others. Tracy Allen Lee, Heidi Baer, Jeffrey Burt, Paul Bazinet, William Chapin, Robin Daniels, Mark Davis, Jeffrey Lincoln Donovan, Keith Fairbairn, Raymond Fish Jr., Louis Fleury, Norman Haynes, Karen Hand, Tammy Haino, Dwayne Hinkle, David Hoover, Leroy Kemp, David LaBaff, Andre Robert Lahans, Matthew Lamb, James Lawrence, Frank Rowe, Carlos Lilo, Charles McNeely, Yamel Marino, Eric Monty, Edward Mueller, Richard Perlman, Brendan Pearson, Barbara Papo, Christopher Prescott, Richard Quigley, Ricardo Quinn, Deborah Reeve, David Restuccio, Mario Santoro, Mark Schwartz, Ryan Shaw, Albert Sipple, Gerald Stalker, Anthony Stone, David Mark Sullins, Robert Metzler, and Zach Zen. I'm going to ask the Commissioner Shaw and Mr. Zeke to lay the wreath of remembrance, thereby dedicating this day and ceremony in honor of EMS personnel who lost their lives in the line of duty.
Creator, giver of life, source of all good, look with mercy on our dearly lovers. Surround them with your eternal, everlasting, and abundant love. Guide the work of the emergency medical personnel gathered here and in home communities. Prosper the gifts of healing which you have given them. Empower their families with patient love to support them. We ask all in the name of Jesus, who provides all to everyone. Amen.
Thank you, Deacon Monty. Please remain standing as the color guard retires the colors. Brings our ceremony to close today. We would like to invite the families of our fallen heroes to come up and view the memorial, and ask that other guests who wish to see the memorial just wait to give the families a little bit of private time. Thank you all so very much for coming.